All right, thanks for listening to the Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800. Our eyes are on Washington, D.C. this morning. Mark Carney expected at the White House any moment now. So when the Prime Minister arrives at the White House for his meeting with Donald Trump, you'll hear about it on CJAD 800. Okay, let's talk about Canada, shall we? They call themselves a movement for people who are done waiting. Build Canada is pro-growth, pro-building, pro-getting things done, and they also want to celebrate Canadian entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. And now, Build Canada has launched a new tool to track the progress of some of the promises being made to make the country an economic juggernaut. It's our pleasure to welcome Lucy Hargreaves onto the program, the CEO of Build Canada. Lucy, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much, Elias. It's great to be here.
And it's not the first time we've spoken to members of the Build Canada team. I guess before we get into the latest developments here, for listeners who are just tuning in, who have never heard of Build Canada before, what do they need to know about Build Canada? Who's behind this movement? What is your goal?
Yeah, great question. So for those of you who don't know, Build Canada is a nonpartisan, mission-driven movement focused on making Canada the most prosperous country in the world. We believe we have the land, the talent, the energy to be the most abundant nation on earth. And the only question is whether or not we're going to unlock that. So what we're focused on is organizing that constituency for growth across the country in three ways. We're bringing people together to build AI and digital tools like the one that we're going to talk about here in the next few minutes. We're bringing people together in person for meetups, dinners. We're launching campus clubs. And we're also publishing actionable pro-growth memos that are focused on sort of bold, transformative policies that are supported by some of Canada's top entrepreneurs.
Now, when I hear you talk, I'm inspired, right? Because I, too, believe that this country, Canada, we should be the richest nation on the planet. There's nothing in our way. But then I look at the numbers, especially in the last decade or so, like GDP per capita, Canada versus the U.S., we are now in the rear view mirror. I think the gap is like $30,000. That may be often if it's U.S. dollars or Canadian dollars, but it's one of those.
Yeah.
How do we turn it around?
Yeah, and productivity. Our productivity is amongst the lowest in the OECD. So we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. And I think, there's multiple different things that need to be done, but fundamentally, we need to make Canada an easier place to grow and scale, to start a business, to be an entrepreneur, to invest capital. There's just a lot of friction that we have across the board in our country that just makes doing those things really difficult.
So with that in mind, there's been a lot, it seems like every Canadian politician agrees with you. Are they doing something about it? That remains to be the question. But it seems like everyone agrees with you, right?
All eyes are on the budget. That's yeah. What I would say.
All eyes are on the budget. So with that in mind, we had heard from the start. This is now going back 6 months. I think it was around the time of the re-election of the Liberals, right? Mark Carney winning the last election, where there was so much talk about inter-provincial trade barriers, okay? And the goal was Canada Day. These barriers are done. We're taking care of business. Now, Build Canada, you just released the very first dashboard of its kind, as you call it, to track interprovincial trade agreements. So give us the current status. Lots of promises. Have the provinces and the federal government lived up to those promises?
Yeah, lots of promises. And I will say this tracker is the first of its kind across Canada. Tracking these agreements is very, very difficult. There are 33 interprovincial trade agreements. There is until now, has been no one centralized place that a citizen or even a policymaker could go to look at this information. And this was built by incredible Build Canada volunteers, Ryan Minucha and Marco Martinez, and along with our co-founder, Melody Kuo. So what we're seeing in the tracker is there are 33 interprovincial trade agreements. Only 11 of them, so 33%, have actually been agreed and implemented. So despite the rhetoric that we hear, there's still quite a long way to go to actually achieve that goal that a lot of folks were talking about back in April of breaking down trade barriers.
And so 33%, a third has been done, right?
1/3, yeah.
And of the third, is it like the easy gimmies? Or have they done
Yes.
the hard work out of the way?
No, it's the easy ones. So it's things like standards for first aid kits, life jackets. I mean,
Jeez.
it's crazy when you think about it that we have different standards for life jackets across this country in different provinces. But that's agreed. Hearing protection under occupational health and safety standards also agreed. So it does look like it's the low-hanging fruit that has been agreed. And the things that are outstanding are the much more complex, trickier things like mutual recognition of any goods approved for sale or use in one province to be sold or used in another. That's not agreed. Same for meat, not agreed. So it's sort of those more complicated ones that are still outstanding.
With Lucy Hargreaves, the CEO of Build Canada. Okay, so looking at the dashboard, the results aren't good. My words, not yours, but they don't seem good if that's all we've accomplished so far on the interprovincial stuff. Why do you think it is, Lucy, that we've gotten into a rut as a country where we can't get stuff done?
I would be a very wealthy person if I had the answer to that question. It is, I think part of it is it's just quite ingrained in our culture, actually, and the way that we think about policy and politics. We tend to be quite risk averse and slow moving in many areas, including policymaking. And unfortunately, what it takes many times is for a political leader to just make a big, bold, hard choice to move quickly and to cut through a lot of the noise. And so I think we've seen that less in the last decade or so. And I think that needs to happen more for us to get where we need to go.
Are you concerned about the builders of this country looking elsewhere to build if they keep running into roadblocks?
Absolutely. I mean, we hear it already. We hear, numbers have been published in the last couple of weeks on the number of founders and entrepreneurs who are deciding to close up shop here and go to the U.S. It's easier to start and scale a business, easier to get capital, a more friendly investment environment. And I do worry that if we don't act quickly and get our own house in order, that we're just going to continue to see that trend, and Canada will end up losing its best and brightest to the U.S. At the same time, remaining, remaining in a difficult environment for capital to invest in this country. We've seen massive capital outflows, over $130 billion since January of this year, and it's very difficult to attract capital to Canada and to get projects built. And so that all needs to change in order for us to move forward here.
Lucy, when Build Canada launched, one of the knocks, I remember speaking with Daniel Debeau, who was chair of the board of Build Canada. He came on the program, right? And one of the knocks was, you know what, this Build Canada, it's just a bunch of tech bros that are trying to get together and move the political needle, okay? That was a knock back then. Where is Build Canada gone since then? You don't sound like a tech bro to me, Lucy. So who's really become a part of it?
Last time I checked, I was not a tech bro.
But so who has become the movement here? Who's making up Build Canada right now?
I mean, it is a broad-based movement across Canada. It's mostly 20 to 35-year-olds who are joining. We're now thousands of members, and we're growing 15 to 20% week over week. Just this week, we've started launching campus clubs in over 15 universities and colleges across the country. This is very much a movement of people who care about growth, of young people who have a real stake in the future of this country and want it to be successful. Across sectors. There are people certainly from what people might classify as the tech sector, but it's much, much broader than that. And primarily young people who just really want Canada to be successful, and they want it to be a great country that they can continue to live in and raise a family in.
Are Prime Minister Mark Carney and his ministers, are they listening to you?
I think so. We get a lot of outreach from both political parties both major political parties in this country. And I think people see these policy ideas and I think they are, interested and curious and are definitely engaging.
Lucy, we'll have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and I'll direct our listeners to buildcanada.com, buildcanada.com, if they want to see that dashboard or if they want to become involved in your movement. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Lucy Hargreaves, CEO of Build Canada. When we return on the Elias Macko Show, building safe spaces for kids online, we'll tackle that and more.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.